Welcome to a demonstration of the Jaltest diagnostic software. This is version 21.3. We're just going to go here through today the John Deere 5M series, and specifically we're looking at the 5075M, which is included in the 5M here. So let's find, we're already into the agricultural component. Let's go into the 5M series. And inside here, you can see that there's a lot of coverage inside of the 5M. We've got everything available to us as a system scan. We've got a lot of special functions that we're able to do, everything from compression testing to injector coding to cylinder cutouts, particulate filters on the Tier 4s, getting into rear lift calibration, transmission calibration, injectors exchange, so on and so forth. Depends on which engine you got. The coverage you're going to have for the specific functions for that engine, but in general, it looks really good. And then we've got some manual diagnostics as well. So if you had a fault code displayed and you want to just put it in, you can also do that. So let's take a look here at doing a full scan of this machine. And first thing we can do, we can have a look at the cable that's going to be required, which in this case is the 9-pin. The green one, standard for John Deere, which comes with the Jaltest diagnostic tool from mechnician.com. So let's go in here now and let's scan the device, or scan the machine. So you can see we're having a look at the engine. It's going through there. Now the transmission, it's scanning the hydraulic systems, central computer, instrument clusters, anti-theft. It's, a lot of data here. And this is all demo data, of course. Where you have the eye, this is going to show you when it last occurred, to the ECU, like some details, which I'll show you. You want to get some more information on that component, anything from connecting to the wiring diagram to live measurements, to just know more about what that is. And then actual troubleshooting and instructions to kind of work towards clearing it. So that's what that is there. So, I don't know. We could pick really any one of these. I haven't gone into any. So let's go into here. Let's go into the engine, injector timing. So we can see here that we've got last occurrence of the fault. The warning lamp is on. Let's learn a little bit more about it. We're talking about the pressure sensor on the injection rail. Because it says it's out of range. Let's, tell me what this is. Give me a little bit more sense on this. So it's going to show us an actual picture here, you can see, giving us some details on, what the pressure is and the pinout is for it. How to check the resistance, the values, really just kind of getting you started here with a little bit more about the component. How to check the resistance, takes you through some of the different steps. And then we can get into, all right, well, what's the process to actually troubleshoot this code? And when we come in here, it's going to give us some more detail, specifically starting with each step, right? So check the low pressure fuel system. It's going to take me into the troubleshooting for this. And then it's actually going to show me specifically how to do that, right? So in this case, perform the following checks. Check the fuel filters, open it up, right? Check the fuel filters. Let's say I'm doing it. You kind of work your way through, measure the fuel pressure. Each one of these is kind of having you go through the stages. It takes you through each one of the steps to get through it. Check the control unit, and then I'm going, okay, I did all that. I just finished this whole step. Let's go back. I'm going to check this off, and now check the high pressure fuel system. And it's going to take us through the troubleshooting of the high pressure fuel system and so on and so forth. Then it's going to get us into voltage checking, perform the following actions if we still haven't done it. Connect the component, ignition on off, do an engine wiring test. Takes us into, how to actually run an engine wiring test on the 5M series, right? So it can do an actual test. It's telling us it's looking for the wiring associating components. It's finished, it's done the checks, it's stored that research, and off we go. Assuming we're able to solve this problem through all the steps, which we kind of went through here quickly, but we're not doing a full diagnostics. We clear the fault codes, and in that case, they're going to disappear, right? So the codes have been cleared, and we're good to go. So all codes are out of the system for that failure. So anyways, that's a sense of the just simple process of, you got a fault code, whether you're entering it manually or you're scanning, then looking at, what is the component and what's the troubleshooting. These stages here, the technical info and the troubleshooting, this is part of Jaltest Info, which is a separate license currently included for free in 2022. But that's what these components here are. Everything else, like the actual scanning, the diagnosing, that even if you didn't renew license, it would continue year after year. The only thing that the license would do there, the other license just for Jaltest, gets you the 3 major updates as well as the technical support, which is fantastic from 8:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. So there's kind of, the different pieces of data, what works, what licenses, and what it looks like. So let's go a little bit further here, though. Let's connect to we've got some other things here. I guess let's go back to just some system technical data. In this case, you can see we're connected to a tier 3, but there's some technical data on some of the different tightening torques and things that you might need. Some of the components that you might want information on, the oil pressure sensor, fuel pumps, all the different components here on this tier 3 engine. Then if I wanted to go into, say, diagrams, there's again diagrams as they pertain to the different systems inside of the machine. In this case, we're looking at this tier 3 engine, so it's showing me a wiring diagram. And the diagrams are nice too, very gooey, and you can kind of, just run your mouse over it and it's going to tell you what exactly you're looking at and what it is that is in there. And if you want to learn more about those components, you can just open them up by double clicking, and suddenly it's going to tell me about this accelerator and then how to check it and what to do. And sometimes there's pictures showing you exactly where it is and all these things. So down here at the bottom, you can see on this tier 3, I've got some troubleshooting by symptoms. And if I had some, again, this is part of Jaltest Info, this component. Comes with your first year of the license, and then it's optional to renew that. But here I've got some troubleshooting that if it doesn't have a fault code, and some different things that might be occurring, and helping me understand some ways to troubleshoot those processes and get my tractor back to work here, which is the ultimate goal. So there's some other basic troubleshooting. So let's go, let's get out of the tier 3 unit here. Let's go back into let's go into a tier 4. Let's go here. All right, so let's go back in. Yeah, let's go into a tier 4 tractor. Let's connect. Doesn't matter either way. We would have diagnostic menus, but just actually want to connect in here. We're in the engine again here at this point. We showed you a bit about fault codes already. You want to do monitoring on any of the devices, you've got the ability to come in, do live displays, and at this point, that's where you can actually come in here and select the items you want to see, run a trigger on it, whatever the piece of data that you want to measure. As you can see, we've got the ability to connect to a lot of things on this 5M series, 5075M specifically, what we're trying to do. Here you can see then it's showing I can also record for like 30 minutes of data. So if I'm doing a live run test to kind of see some of these positions changing, it's got great ability to measure and capture data. So that's what that looks like. Let's go back here though to our diagnostics menu. Here then, if we want to go into things like actuate components, there's an EGR valve we can actuate. Let's go into systems checks. Lots of things we can do on this engine, all kinds. What's our temperature in the catalytic converter? Tests, it's going to run it up to 250 degrees Celsius. So it's checking the exhaust gas temperature check. So here's the engine speeds in that and what it's at. And then it's taking about 5 to 25 minutes. and it's actually going to run the process. This is obviously a demo environment, but you get the sense anyways. I mean, there's a endless amount of capabilities for us to be able to diagnose, calibrate, measure, check, and really make sure that your tractor is functioning. In this case, like when you do any of these tests too, it's giving you all the reports, like it ran it up to, here's the temp of the outlet gases and all those things that you were wanting to measure depending on what it is. It's so we need hours and hours and hours to go through every single one of these and what the tests and system checks that we're able to do here with the system. Sorry, we already did the EGR. Parameters, injector coding, exchanges, coding of different components when you're changing them, making sure you're able to do it. Normally your shop's got to do it. Now you can do it yourself. Maintenance, you want to, run a regen, which looked much like that gas temp check. It's similar processes. It's just different results and different tactics. It's going through and doing it. Fault clearing, coolant purge. It's really unbelievably complete here. Calibrate the throttle valve on the exhaust, EGR valves, and then the data recorder. I mean, showing you diagrams, showing you troubleshooting. I mean, sometimes in some of the systems you could have releases and procedures, bulletins and that have been put together. In this case, we've got some general info on DEF, some stuff on the filters, power limitations that occur on regeneration and different things. So, there's other service information and that to help you run your, to be able to take care of your machine, which is really nice to see. So, let's come back out. Let's, let's go into the transmission even. And, same thing. You want to see how to connect to it. It's showing us it's through the same place and the same cable. You can come in here and let's see some of the calibration. There's transmission calibration we can run. In this case, you got to be an expert mode, which you can set up certain technicians to only be able to access the advanced things like running a regen or calibrating a transmission. In this case, it's obviously a critical factor in actually running the tractor. So it takes you through the steps, make sure your flat surfaces, reminding you that again. Put it in neutral. The shift is in neutral. Parking brake, handbrake's disconnected, and then now the engine's got to be 2,200 RPM. And it's going through checking the hydraulic oil temperatures, whatever the whole process is here, right? So, specifying the type of the oil, select an oil type, whether it's a John Deere or whatever. Just put others. Whatever your exact situation is. Now put move the gears to forward. It calibrates. Put it to neutral. It's looking at that and calibrating. Put it in reverse. Now it's calibrating that reverse. Process is fully complete. So just an example of some of the things you can do, and then you get into say, diagrams on the transmission, and you want to understand a little bit more. Here's your electrical diagram on the transmission. Same thing as the engine. You can click through, see through, get information. You want to get into all the different components involved in the transmission. It's going to give you some details on them and tell you all about them and what exactly they're. So although it might, certainly when you have fault codes, it's going to walk you through some of those troubleshooting stages depending on the failure and what it is. But most definitely, it's very complete here for the John Deere 5M. We've got great coverage, and I'll show you what happens after you finish some work here as well. So if we go to exit all of this, it's going to, hey, do you want to save this information that you've done? And in this case, you can save it. It saves it inside of, saves it inside of the Garage Resource Planner, which comes with the software. You can save all your work orders, and in this case, it's documenting everything that you just did. So if you're going through, having a look, and you see all these fault codes and system checks, and we ran all those tests, if you recall, it keeps those charts, saves all that for you so you've got some reporting on what went on, and if you did have to bring a dealer in to have